Hello, and welcome back to another Minecraft Let's Play video with me, Elven Dragon. So last episode we went and built up a small little bit of gardens around our spawn, mostly to decorate the area that we set aside to kind of protect that a little bit more, make that a little bit safer. Now that our shulker is out of there, and I'm quite happy with the results. I think this place turned out really nice. I think we still have a few leaves to put on one of the bridge arches. But since then, we have been busy kind of planning out a few things for the future. Namely, digging out our road here and getting that marked out. So we have this string of light blue wool that stretches all the way back to our main pathway. And we've got a few other strings of wool. The teal wool here is marking out the edge of our dark oak forest. If we go ahead and redo this forest as a custom forest, I'm still working out a few trees and stuff for that. I'm still working out a few trees and what plants I want to put into it, but for now I figured we should get at least the edge of that marked out so we know the area that we're working with. That's going to be a very long project because we are going to have to cut down pretty much the entire forest and rebuild it. But today, what we are going to be getting into is working on some more storage things back in the redstone pit, because I have been quite busy digging out more of the pit, specifically the area right underneath our cave and our storage system, so we can maybe get the covering on that sooner rather than later. And we've run into a small problem. And that problem is we have completely filled our cobbled Deepslate storage that is currently in our storage system, which means we're going to need a bit of extra storage for that, just like what we have for our stone. Got some ideas of what we're going to do for that, just decoration-wise. But we really need to get some storage set up for that. So, back over to the redstone pit we go. Alright, so if we head down to the second layer, third layer, what's this, the fourth? It all depends on how you count them. Oh, well, the second layer below our portal in our cave, we have two sides here that we've left pretty much completely open. And those are for putting in our systems to go and transport our extra materials out, because I figured we might as well have those set up for ease of getting the extra materials out of here. Now, what I'm thinking is that we could put our filter for our cobbled Deepslate out here and maybe put our island somewhere down in this general area, kind of underneath our flower farm, but still above our grass and nylium farm. Not quite sure where exactly in this area. We do have a big space right in here that we could put something, which means we have three parts that we need to get in. The first and the third are going to be fairly simple. That's our sorter and getting everything set up to transport stuff, and our actual storage building. I'm thinking of doing something similar to our stone building, except obviously this is cobbled Deepslate, so we have a few more different varieties that we can play around with for this. I think we use spruce for the stone building. We might use birch or pale oak. I'm gonna have to take a look at what we actually used for that. But I'm thinking something similar dimensions, similar shape, similar design. Might play around with it a little bit more, but basically something similar to that, and very similar on the inside where we've got chests and hoppers, just basically filling out a massive mass storage. I think that thing's got about 250 chests in it total. I haven't counted them recently, so I don't quite remember the exact amount. Speaking of which, that's actually getting pretty full. So we may have to see if we can fit another row of chests and hoppers in there. But that's a problem for later, because we don't have a whole lot more stone left in this area. But once we get those two parts in, that just leaves connecting them up with transport. Now, we have a bridge here and a water system for getting stuff across. We've got a chest minecart going across and back to go ahead and fill those up. And I'm thinking we might try working with a water stream. I'm not sure if this will work. may not, but it's something that we could try and see if it's going to work. So we're going to go ahead and put our filter right on the end of the row that we have our stone sorter on. Not sure if we're going to need another sorter for something else, which could be just regular Deepslate. Maybe gravel, but we haven't gotten anywhere near filling up either of those. So I think we should be good for now. But we'll go ahead, put those in, get this set up, and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up. Shouldn't take too long. It's just a basic sorter. Did go ahead and add 2 more layers of storage to this. They aren't quite hooked up just yet because I haven't quite gotten all the stuff for the sorters. We don't actually have a whole lot of wheat right now. Got enough for one side on the top, so we have our pale oak and such in place in there. But other than that, we are still very, very low on wheat for our target blocks. But I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up and ready to go, and then I'll be right back. All right, so we have a very basic section here marked out. Nothing too significant. We don't even have an island on this thing. It's literally just a floor, a basic mark out of the walls, and 3 double chests that are going to be our starting storage for this building. We'll eventually kind of fill this in and put our hopper system all through here. I tried to look at what we had for the stone storage, and I'm not going to be able to copy that because I don't even know how that is taking all of our stone between all of the chest systems. So we're just going to start with these and then we can expand out from there. It is really easy to expand. We're going to start by expanding out here through these. Put in a section of 3 here. And then go from there. Which means that this is going to be about our only spot here for putting in our scaffolding. Regardless, this should be enough storage. I think we've got about 200 double chests in the stone storage, so I'm thinking that should be enough for what we're going to do here. Don't think we're going to get more than 200 double chests of cobbled Deepslate. But as you'll notice, I did not go with birch or pale oak for this. I decided that those were going to be too bright and stand out too much from the Deepslate. So I figured we'd try oak, and it doesn't look too bad. Kind of like how this is looking for this. We just are running a little bit low on our stripped oak. We pretty much have none of this stuff, so we're slowly growing up a bit more. But I think this will look really nice once we finally start getting the walls in. So I'm going to go and get the walls of this built up so we actually can put a roof on this thing. Probably just kind of throw something together like we have for our stone building. Or we could always just wait and put that on until after we get the system set up. Do need to get the water system set in. I did figure out how we could do that. It's actually going to be really nice. And I can't wait to kind of bring that through. It's going to be interesting though. I'll have to bring it around through here. It's going to be fun trying to get that so that it doesn't cascade too much. Kind of wish we had a bit more space here, but I figured that 20 blocks above where our current bottom here is would put this in a good spot relative to the rest of our islands. So we can kind of see here where that's going to be. And I do like where that is. It's just not going to be very easy for us to get a nice waterfall cascade going with the water streams. But that'll be a problem for once this is fully built. For now, we'll go ahead and get that in. If we need to change it from the water streams, we can. We can always make something else using a water stream. Or we could even potentially get some of our storage transport into our main storage using water streams. Regardless, we've got a tower to build up and a bunch of chests to put in. I need a lot more hoppers than I have right now, though. All right, so I've gone and set up a basic system to distribute all of our cobbled deep slate through here. And if by the time we fill this all up, we still need more space, I won't be surprised at all, because this will only get us another, what is this, 20 chests. We've got 16 here. We'll have another 120, so about 180 chests in here. That should store a good chunk of this. We'll have to probably silk touch a bunch of it as well and put that into a separate building. As for getting all of it to here, started working on our water passageways. So what I discovered while I was playing around with water streams is we drop an item into a water stream, it will fall off at least one block over. So any items coming off of this water stream should end up dropping onto the hopper that we have down below, at least once our scaffolding is gone. But that does mean that if we are dropping items down from higher layers, which our next step here is going to be a decent ways up, because I want to get this so that it's not as crowded in this area. It's probably not the best place to put our storage with how crowded this area is, but no matter. What we can do is we can have a single water stream all the way from our storage building. We are going to have to put it in a bubble column to bring it up to a higher level. There was pretty much no way that we were going to get it just straight off of there. But we can kind of start putting this in, working it around. Got in a few spots here. We're just going to do our typical grass and moss around here. And we're really not going to make this more than 6 blocks long for each one. Mostly just because I want to make sure that we have plenty of space to put stuff. But I think once we get this in, it should work fairly well. We're definitely going to have to test it. But with all of the items dropping one block past where the waterfall is, we can go ahead and put some pools at the bottom of some of our larger waterfalls. They're not all going to be this tall as our jump between this one and the one right before our storage building. That one's just because I want to get above our flower farms here. We could even, in some of these, put in small flower farms. Some of the larger ones. This one, maybe not. Actually, the wildflowers farm isn't going to be that big. I'll have to see how big our pink petals farm is. That way we can get a good estimate on whether or not that's actually going to fit in there. But we could do stuff like that, and I think it'll be really nice. It'll be a nice way of conserving the already tight space in this particular area. Not like we don't have tons and tons of space in the entire pit itself. And a lot of that has been from clustering a bunch of small farms in one area. Again, we used a good chunk of the inside of the pit. We just haven't gone above it all that much. And we still have a very large section here to dig out, because that is a fairly deep section there. It's a whole nother 64 blocks that we're going to have. Still isn't all the way down to where I want to get it. And I have to play around whether or not it's going to be one block deeper than I originally thought or not, depending on whether or not I want to go one block above lava level or go all the way to it. But for now, we have some water streams to construct and bring all the way back to our main area. I'm thinking we're probably going to be about at the same level as our cave, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Wonder if we can go ahead and set it so that it goes up in the corner there. That would be a good use of that corner space, because we don't really have anything to go in there. It is pretty much empty space all the way up. But before we do that, we do need to get our sections in here and get the water streams in. Going from the storage building back to our main section, just because it'll be a lot easier to build off of that and figure out the pathing from there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this built up and ready to put in the water. And then I'll be back once we're ready to give the system a bit of a test. Alright, so we now have our cascading series of waterfalls. It's not as impressive as some of our other ones that we have in the area. This one, unlike all the other ones, is functional somewhat. So if we toss in a thing of cobbled deepslate, we can see it kind of flows down. I had to rearrange some of the pathways because it does get stuck on a couple spots. And I think, yep, there we go. Right there is where it gets stuck. Which means we might have to move this a little bit. Should still be a fine. Don't know how we're exactly going to do that. It might be that we need to move this one over a block, which could make things interesting. We'll have to figure it out and see how we have to move it, because this one does have to be 8 in order to send stuff into our system. But if we were to toss that into there, see it goes in, that almost actually goes out because of how far that is. Should make sure that actually lands on the hoppers. So if I'm right, that should be in... Ow. Apparently none of the chests. Well, I'm going to have to do some work to make sure that these are falling in the right spot. They're clearly not. And who knows, maybe once we get the full structure in and we actually get this fully running, should be good. But other than that, I'm quite happy with how this has turned out. We still don't have a roof on this thing, because I'm a little low on oak, because I've been trying to figure out these water streams. But all in all, I think this should be fully functional. Now, in theory, if we go and toss this in, it should go through the whole system and spit out the top. I did get the dropper system set up, so it should work. For which we can just go and do. I'm only going to do 32 because I don't want to have to manipulate too many and follow too many of the blocks. But all in all, it's a pretty nice system. It looks like that's sending everything up. We should be able to see some stuff going through soon. There we go. I saw the first few blocks going down. Actually kind of cool watching them flow down like that. Other than, obviously, the fact that they all get stuck on the same spot. But problems aside, I'm quite happy with how that turned out. That actually worked better than I was expecting. It actually got stuck in another spot, but we've already gone and fixed that so that it will flow down smoothly. And I'm quite happy. It's just that one spot that we haven't managed to change because of how that's going to affect the river pretty significantly here. But small changes aside, it seems like this works. We seem to be missing a few cobbled deepslate though, so that means that we've got some stuck somewhere else. But that's why we do these tests, to make sure. And it's not like we're really going to be running out of cobbled deepslate anytime soon. But with that, I think that that is going to be about it for today. Obviously, we have some testing to do and some small changes to fix. I can easily just go ahead and do those off camera. And also kind of start getting some of the section here marked out for where we're actually going to put the wall for the spire here. Got an area here already kind of started. And we've already got a section kind of marked out for the stone storage. We just have to go ahead and connect those up a little bit more. But again, with that, that is going to be about it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more of what is going on in our redstone pit and in the rest of this world. And I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.